Alright, we're gonna do kitty story time. I got a good story for you guys, but I'm gonna go eat because I haven't eaten yet today. Alright, hi everybody and welcome to my stream. Today I'm going to do a bit of a story today. It is the worst accident I have ever had, okay? And it has to do with getting rolled on by a horse. So this story is titled, Kitty Gets Rolled On by a Horse. Like, I seriously, legitimately got rolled on by a horse. So, I've told this story, like, I think when I first started streaming, and then, like, maybe once another time, but I'm going to tell it now for you guys here on Twitch, and then I'm going to tell, I'm going to post this on YouTube. So, hello, YouTube, and hello, Twitch. So, a little backstory about this. I was a competitive horseback rider for 10 years. I am a multiple-time provincial champion in hunters and equestrian, equitation. And I've competed in California, Washington, and British Columbia. And so that's my backstory. I was like a really good rider when I was young, and when I was 13 years old was when I like started training horses. And so a friend of mine was looking to get a new horse, and she wanted to have me come out to the farm to ride it, to tell her if it was a nice moving horse and whether or not she should purchase it. So we drive out to this farm. It was about an hour and a half outside of Kelowna, where I was currently living. And we get to the farm, we saddle up the horse looks good. It was kind of weird because the ring was not fenced, and it was in the same paddock as like the stallions and stuff, and like a bunch of other horses. So like the horses were just like roaming around, and then there was like what's it called, wood chip, like a wood chip ring. But the wood chips were very, very slippery. So I was riding this horse, I was like cantering it. I don't know if you guys know what a canter is. It's like a third gait of a horse. El Fluga, thank you so much for subscribing. Welcome to the kitty team. So it's like when the horse does this instead of like trotting or walking, okay? So I was coming around a corner, and I was wearing my helmet, and it was cantering, and the horse lost its footing, literally slipped out, and then I came down, a horse went down, hit itself on its side, and then rolled all the way over, and then got back up, and I was just left on the ground because I had just been rolled on by a horse. And so what happened when the horse rolled on me is I slammed the front portion of my brain, your frontal left cortex, onto the ground. It's like literally just like boom. And then I had all of the horse's weight, you know, all the way bending my back and then on top of me. So I immediately was unconscious. And all of this now that I will tell you is recollection of the woman who owns the farm and then the two friends I was there at the farm with, okay? So what happens when you hit the left frontal cortex is it pretty much puts you in to fight or flight mode. And so I was like base survival instinct of my brain, and I was personally not functioning, but my body and I still was. So immediately my friends, they run up to me and they're like, holy shit, Kristen just got rolled on by a horse. And they're like patting me down, laying me flat, because immediately you want to be kept still and flat. Someone was calling 911. And all of a sudden my eyes like flick open, and I'm just like, whites of my eyes are showing, my pupils are like hella dilated, and I was just like a freaking crazy person. I started scratching my friend, I pulled her hair, I punched my friend in the boobs. She had really big boobs, and I punched her in the boob. I started throwing sand in their eyes, I tried to bite them, I was kicking them, I was screaming, I was like contorting my body, I was like literally going absolutely fucking insane, and my friends were just like backed off. They're like, what is going on? Like, they're on the phone with the paramedics, and they're like, just keep her straight, keep her flat, make sure that she is not moving, because every time she moves, if she actually has spinal injury, then she is going to like just continue to damage her. So they were trying to like hold my arms by my side and my legs on, like down, And what I kept doing was I would be held down like this, and then they would sit on my legs, and I was able to lift using my ab muscles, like lift her and like throw her over just with my like pulling my legs up. And so I was absolutely going crazy. I'll get to that in a second. Ishay, thank you. And absolutely going insane, rolling around, and so like we can't even touch her because I kept like physically scratching them. And so I backed off, and then I like was just like laying there on the ground and like rolling around, and then my phone started to ring, and I took my phone out of my pocket, and I had a flip phone. Okay, I was 13, and it was like a little pink flip phone, and I answered it, and I started screaming at it, and then I break it in half, and I throw it across the arena. And okay, can you wait for your? I'm not gonna get through your questions right now. Please wait for them until after this. And then I threw my phone, and that was my mom who was calling me. So to hear me scream and then throw her phone, she got a call from my friends. They're like, meet us at the hospital. It took the ambulance half an hour to get there, and in the meantime, I was speaking different languages. Any word in any language I've ever heard or like learned, I was speaking, and I was like, my friend thought I was speaking in tongue, and she was like really freaked out. And so I was like just fucking crazy. And so the paramedics eventually arrive, the ambulance gets there, there's two guys, they come, they bring the spinal board, they bring the neck brace, and they get me on top of the spinal board, and they start strapping me down. And then I was going, and I was undoing all the Velcro. Like, I would just undo it, like try and scratch them and like bite them, and then like try and crawl away, but then I'd like pass out again, and then they'd try and lace me up, and then I would like wake up, undo myself, and then like crawl away, and then like pass out again. And they would do the neck brace up, and I would like tear it off. I was like literally attacking these poor paramedics. And so the first paramedics that arrived were actually unable to keep me down. So they had to call a second team of paramedics. So the second team of paramedics arrive at the barn, and together, the four of them were able to hold me down, strap me in, and get me in an ambulance. And so I was now in the ambulance, and then I just passed out. And then when I was in the ambulance, I actually threw up. This is where I have like some moments that I remember. When I was in the ambulance, I like remember like them trying to talk to me and keep me awake, because when you've had that kind of brain damage, there's a lot of bleeding and pressure that happens in your brain. And I just threw up all over the ambulance attendant. Like literally, like my mom saw him because she was there when they like wheeled me in, because it had taken them so long to get from the farm to the hospital, that I had thrown up from like his shoulders to like his waist. Like it was just covered in throw up. I don't remember what I ate, but that's not really the point of the story. So I threw up all over this guy, and I kind of remember them talking to me, like I was like in and out, and they'd be like, okay, Kristen, hey, okay. Okay, no, they'd be like, what is your name? What is your name? Kristen, stay with us. Or stay with us. Like, what is your name? And I'll be like, my name is Kristen. And they'd be like, okay, good. What day is it? I'd be like, I don't know what day it is. It's spring break. Like, Thursday? They're like, it's Friday, Kristen, blah, 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 blah. And they're like, what do you want to do when you're older? I'm like, I want to be a doctor. I'm going to be a radiologist, blah, 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 blah. And like, trying to just keep me talking. And then I was out again. And the next time I come to, I was actually in the hospital. But then the paramedics, they're like wheeling me in. And as they're wheeling me in, my mom is waiting. Like she's like waiting right where the paramedics lead her in. And apparently, like I was rolled past her, and I actually growled at her. Like I just looked at her, like my whites of my eyes, just, like looked at her, and my eyes were just like, your pupils like dilate all the way when that happens, and like we're not responsive. And apparently, so I must have just looked like fucking crazy. Like, I don't even know. And I looked at her and I growled at her, and she's like bawling her eyes out. Like, she thought I was going to be like an animal for the rest of my life, I think. Anyways, and then they take me in, and there's like a little kid that's getting wheeled out with a cast. And apparently I like tried to scratch him. Like, what a mean person. Like, what am I doing? And so then I get wheeled in, and they put me through the entire trauma unit. They were really, really worried that I had broken my back. And so I had CT scans, and I remember coming to because I was like covered in like, they like lay tons and tons of warm blankets on you, and I was covered in warm blankets, and then I was like in pain because they had like just stabbed me because they had to, they put like a dye, like an ink into your blood. That goes through your whole body, and then when they do the scan, they can see if you have any internal bleeding. And she's like, this is gonna hurt a little bit, and it, like, she put it in, and literally it was just like pain that went through my entire body. It was like the weirdest feeling. So I remember coming to a little bit in the CT scan, and I remember like everything like swirling around me, and like, cause like there's like lights and shit, and so then I was in the hospital apparently for the night, and my parents took me home in the morning. So, cause they're like, you know what, you can take care of her, but like, I don't remember anything. Like, I actually, like, I must have come to enough to, be released, but I actually don't remember this time at all. And, did I say who I'm black is? Can you save your resub, please? I'm almost done. And so, then what happened, so I was released home on, I think this was Friday, and I was released home Saturday, like around lunchtime, and I didn't wake up until Sunday morning. So I remember waking up in my parents' bedroom, and I was like in their bed. They had let me sleep in there, so I was like closer to like the family room and everything, so they could keep an eye on me. And I woke up, and there was skorechki. I don't know if any of you guys know what this is, but skorechki is like pork fat, and like when you have, like you make schnitzels, you cut all the fat off of it, and then my grandma always fries the pork fat. So if any of you guys are Czech, that's what she makes for me. I remember that being there, but I just like felt so nauseous I couldn't eat. And so then I got out of bed. I remember immediately like collapsing to the ground, like I was so weak and out of it. And then I crawled over to their full-length mirror, and I remember looking at myself in the mirror, and like my eyes were still super dilated, and my brain was like, not my brain, my head, I literally had like this big a bump on the front, like right here. It was like so big, and I remember looking at it, and I was like, oh my god, like what the fuck happened? Like what was wrong with me? Like at this point I didn't remember anything. I didn't remember anything, and it was just like huge bump, and I just like, I remember looking at it, I was like, what the fuck is wrong with me? This is so terrible. And I was like, and then I looked down, and I'm in a hospital gown, and my butt is showing. And my butt is like fully showing, and like I'm not wearing anything except for the honest to God ugliest pair of granny panties I had owned at the time, okay? I was 13 years old, and like obviously like you're 13, you know, you're getting your hormones, you're going through puberty, you have nice underwear at this point, this is something you care about. But I was wearing like Monday to Friday that was probably like Monday to Friday underwear that was probably like 5 days. Not 5 days, like 5 years old. It was fucking like just terrible, like ugly granny panties. And I looked down and I was like, God damn it. I just remember I was so out of it, and the thing that I remembered was I was wearing ugly underwear, and the paramedics saw me in ugly underwear, and I was very upset about that. I was like, the entire hospital probably saw me in this ugly ass underwear. So anyways, and then I looked down and I was covered in heart monitors. I remember I had the sticky things from the heart monitors for like a few days after that. I don't know why my parents didn't peel them off of me while I was at home for like 2 days just out of it. And so then I was just like so like dead for like a week. And luckily it was spring break, but I just like didn't do anything. Like I was not allowed to do anything. And at that point, that was like my 5th or 6th concussion from horseback riding when I was 13. So my mom actually wanted me to wear a helmet like every day for the rest of my life. But I've been fine. Like I've only had one serious concussion since then from snowboarding. But like, you know, I feel like I'm fine. I don't know. Okay, anyways, so I go to the barn. This is the end of the story. I go to the barn like a week later, and I see the 2 girls that were there with me, and they literally look at me and they start bawling their eyes out. They're like, we are so like happy you are okay. Like we honestly thought you were gonna die or be like brain damaged for like the rest of your life. And I go to like the chalkboard where like the lesson schedule was, and they had drawn like me as like the fucking exorcist and them like running away from me and me like punching them and scratching them. They drew like a little comic. They're like, this is what happened. I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. I don't know. I wasn't conscious for it at all. And yeah, so I've had to have like brain scans since then, and my like full frontal cortex is like fully healed and fine. And yeah, that is the moral of the story. Oh, and also my friend, she went and saw Emily Rose, The Exorcism of Emily Rose, and this movie came out around the same time as when I was hurt, and she literally had to leave and like bawled her eyes out in it because that's exactly how I was acting, and I still haven't seen it, so I have no idea. But yeah, so that is the moral of the story, guys, is just make sure you have proper footing, always wear your helmet, and yeah, that's the end of my story. So thank you everyone for listening to it, and make sure to take care of your brains, guys, because, you know, in 1 second you can become a vegetable, which I almost was. And luckily also I had no back sprain or internal bleeding or anything, so I was lucky. Yeah, moral of the story. Okay, bye YouTube. Alright.